Okay, so what we want to do is to try to take this expression, which looks quite complicated, and write it as a square root of a single expression. Now, a few things to be said. First of all, this expression is always non-negative, right? In fact, it's always greater than or equal to 4. X squared is always greater than or equal to 0. 2x squared is always greater than or equal to 0 because the square of any number is always non-negative. And then plus 4 definitely makes the entire expression greater than or equal to 4. So no problems with the square root there. What laws of exponents can I use though? There's a pretty serious problem, right? The first problem is there's no bases that match up. And my kind of original laws of exponents, you've kind of this base b which has to be the same everywhere. B to the a times b to the c is equal to b to the a plus c, for example. It doesn't work. And I'm trying to write this as a square root. Now I do know one law that's pretty useful, right? So the law that I have in mind is if I have the square root of a times the square root of b, assuming a and b are positive, this is equal to the square root of the expression a times b. So I think this is kind of what I want to use, but the problem is that is not a square root, not as it's written. So I'm going to have to use one of my laws. So let's just observe the following. So I really need two laws to do this. So we'll leave the first part as is, of course. But the second part, I want to write it as a square root. So I could write x squared as x to the power 4 times a half, couldn't I? Okay, nice and simple. 2 is equal to 4 times a half. But now that's equal to what? That's equal to, so 2x squared plus 4 to the half, of course, multiplied by, well, it's going to be x to the power 4 to the power a half there. Okay. So now let's write this in standard radical notation. This is the square root of 2x squared plus 4 multiplied by the square root, this is quite a difficult example, square root of x to the 4. Everything's all good, x to the 4 is always positive. So now bingo, I can put these together using my law of exponents. My law of exponents says what? It says that this all becomes a square root of the product, and everything's positive, so I don't have any issues. So this would be 2x squared plus 4 multiplied by x to the 4. And if you want, you can go one little bit further. You don't really need to because we've already done it. But if you don't want to have that written as a product inside, if you want it written kind of in more standard notation, this would be 2x to the 6 plus 4x to the 4 on the inside. Okay, so quite a nice example. So just to remind us of what rules we're using, at this stage, we're using the b to the a to the power c is equal to b to the a times c. That's what we're using. And at this stage here, we are using exactly this at the top. Let me just bring it down. We're using this. So that's quite a good example, right? Because it's two different laws. We've got to have a bit of ingenuity realizing how to deal with this piece, but it's a really excellent example.